Hello and welcome to UK Versus. Today I am getting some questions answered around the Redemption Store that I sent off to UVS to be answered, and I thought it'd be a little bit of fun to do it in the guise of an interview. So I am joined by UVS Red. How are you doing, my friend?
Hi.
I'm good. Glad to be here. So I sent off a list of questions to be answered, and my counterpart here is going to then answer these questions, and then unfortunately there isn't going to be much follow-up from that because I'm essentially reading off a script. So shall we begin?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Excellent. So when did UVS decide to change the redemption point system and the redemption store? We made the decision to investigate change about a year ago and spent many months modeling different economies and working with our technology partners to come to a new version of the reward store we could share with the world. In the article, it stated that the new point system came about to make it easy to understand by new and casual players. How do you respond to the community's response by new and casual players that the new system is actually more complex and harder to understand? We made changes based on community feedback and internal experimentation, but the reward store is a living tool, meaning that we can adjust it as needed to meet the changing needs of our community. If that means adjusting point totals, we'll happily do that. That makes a lot of sense. I do wish it had been a little bit more catered around the new player aspect of the question, but it's great to see that you're still open to changing part of the store if and when it is discovered to be too complex or hard to understand by the players. So why did the redemption store change now in March, but the new redemption point system for products will not happen until August? This was a very tough decision. The redemption program as it existed was not sustainable long term, and the most significant feedback we got from the community was that the rewards in the store didn't feel very rewarding. Knowing we had to change the redemption program because of the challenges players told us about, we had the choice to wait and adjust the excitement factor for rewards in store until it launched, or offer cool rewards now even though the redemption program hasn't launched yet. We decided to bias towards adding more cool and offsetting points missing from the redemption program by adding bonuses for organized play over the events over the next few months. You can go sign up for Attack on Titan and Apocalypse pre-releases now, and you can net yourself 180 points for signing up this early. This is one of the initiatives to offset the points that you are missing from products. I'd love to ask more about the aspect of sustainability. The Redemption Store as it was existed for 15 years and was never meant to be a profit system. It was always meant to be a plus thing. So talking about the sustainability of the store, especially since like I said, it had been around 15 years, I would have loved to have been able to get into a bit more of the meat around the sustainability, but unfortunately, as I said, but maybe I can get a part 2 from UVS as well. And I also do stand with my UVS counterparts. Do go sign up for the AOT free pre-releases. I'm looking forward to seeing what all these cards are going to do, and I think AOT set has been mixedly received, but I enjoyed it. I think the first set was way too big, but I enjoyed the AOT free sets, and I think 3 sets is more than enough. Any more sets is milking it, and any fewer sets you're not going to tell the full story of AOT. So let's move on. How did UVS quantify the new 60 points for weekly locals and 120 points for a promo, or 1,200 points for a box, equating to 8 locals or 20 locals in getting a box? This was based on internal calculations around the points economy, player expectations around rewards, and feedback we had received from the community. This also includes the 20 points for quick play events and bonuses offered for events such as Star Scrambles. That makes a lot of sense, including scrambles and local championships, and the points totals being 120 for each of those, and basically around the 80 points with the 2 weekly casual events. It alleviates it a little bit, but it's still a lot of totals, because I think Star Scrambles are going to be one a season. It looks like Star Scrambles is going to be one a month for one a season. Local championships are one a month for one a season, and not everyone is utilizing the 20 casual points the way they should be. I know I'm not. So although they're an option, they're not the most exercised option, and I think that's something that may need to change. We need to, ourselves as players, be getting those extra 20 points. But it's weird to see that the company factor that in as something as a kind of alliance. So as I mentioned above, this system is for new and casual players, but is this not actively making it harder for casual players and new players coming into the game to acquire these promos? We think adding exciting new options for players will actually lead to more engagement with the reward store, and so far the predictions have been true. The launch of the reward store has led to the largest engagement with the program since we've tracked data. I do have to wonder, with the engagement of the program being the largest at the Redemption Store update, if that's not more to do with what was offered rather than the change to the store itself. It's all well and good the UVS be able to go, oh, we've had our highest engagement on the store because of the change. But you had retro product on there essentially for free because people have been gaining points for a while. There are players who have tens of thousands of points locked up, and I would love to know if that engagement, if that data was the same on week 2 when it was promos that people kind of already had and sleeves that a lot of people already said they already had. I would love to know if the data was consistent for week 2 as week 1, where the products weren't as, I don't want to say exciting, but they weren't as sought after as they were during week 1. And it would be a great example to see if new players and casual players had that access, because the cards that are on there would primarily appeal to people who did not have access to those cards when they were at locals, or when they were part of nationals, or when they were at events. Moving back to the store level, how did UVS quantify the points for events? 60 points for locals, 120 for a local championship or Star Scramble. And how do you respond to player feedback that this is adding a grind aspect to the game and kind of putting in a pseudo paywall to the redemption items? We think of the reward store as a bonus. We think of the reward store as a bonus for playing, not the primary reason to engage with Universus. In our efforts to grow the community and support local play, we want as many people as possible to attend events and find them enjoyable, and the reward store is a great addition to this play experience. In-store prizes and meeting with friends from the community that makes Universus so much fun to be part of. We definitely want players to play more events, to grow our community and support local game stores, but our intent is not to make playing feel like a grind. We'll monitor that sentiment as the program continues, while making updates when necessary. So with the significant increase to points at Worlds, at Regionals and at the Premier level, will there still be incentive for judges to judge events rather than playing events in terms of getting hold of redemption points? This is a great question. Universus wouldn't be the game it is without our wonderful judging community, and players who choose to judge will receive the same amount of points for participating they would for playing in the event, including bonuses for events that offer them. Why is there a weekly rotation on the store? Do you think this adds unnecessary complications to the Redemption Store system? Does it not increase stress on a player's mental load with that fear of missing out. And going back to the point system, it feels like 8 weeks to acquire a promo through locals play, and then not having that promo be available at the time increases that fear of missing out, increases that kind of stress on a player, and almost adds a rotating banner kind of system that we've seen throughout gacha games. Weekly rotation was designed to create more excitement and anticipation for the reward store. Make the store easier to navigate by reducing the total number of items available at any time and improving the reward store as a touch point for players on a more regular basis, checking in more frequently than before. For cosmetic items such as alternate art versions of cards found in booster packs, we will rotate those out on a weekly basis. Items like mechanically unique promos will be in the store for longer, giving players more time to collect them, typically remaining in for a month, and the limit on those cards will be set to enable players to order extra items so they'll be able to trade those with their friends that have missed out. Final items will rotate back in throughout the year. Just because you've missed something throughout 1 week does not mean you will not be able to redeem it later. We'll post an article every Monday with what's in the store that week, so players can decide if they want to redeem their points or not. There's been rising concern about the rotation system, that it'll increase costs through posting. There's no current way to combine items, so if you're essentially paying that $5 weekly to get everything in the redemption item, and although it's not a lot, it does add up over the course of a year. If a player was to buy an item from the store every week for the case of an entire year, it would cost them $260 to utilize the redemption store every single over the course of that year. That's not an insignificant amount to a lot of the players in the player base. Are there any plans to have purchases kind of held on an account, or have some kind of way to combine items in a basket that will then allow them to all be shipped at the same time and combine on that delivery cost? This is something we've actually been talking about for a while. The shipping fee is primarily an anti-fraud measure that stopped some nefarious behavior we saw in the old program, allowing us to keep the reward store, so it's important we keep it in place. But options that allow players to group orders together to reduce the fee are things we're actively discussing with our vendor who manages the technology for the reward store to see if we can make any improvements to that space. Looking at the reward store itself, we see quite often that it says limited quantities are... Is there any reason it says limited quantities rather than specifying how many are left and kind of alerting people to how quickly they need to purchase an item from the reward store? As we saw with the Cowboy Bebop retro boxes, they kind of sold out within the first 10-20 minutes. This is a technology element we're looking at with our reward store developer to see what changes could possibly go in now that we've had several weeks with the new system. There are some constraints in showing real-time product updates to product inventory given the popularity of the new program, but our preference is to make more transparency wherever possible. I'd like to think that UVS is being a lot more transparent than they used to be, but I know that's quite a diverse topic among the community. There are some aspects that are still kind of semi-transparent as well, but you know, a company cannot give us all their secrets, it just wouldn't be beneficial. So this question is kind of moot at the point of recording, but I'm going to cover it anyway because I want to show I was fighting for you guys at the time as well. The store rotated at 9 AM PST, and we've seen that the items can fly out very quickly. It was there plans to change the time so that the OCE community would have a chance to get hold of products. At the time I sent the questions out, it was a 4 AM till 6 AM kind of changeover for OC, which made it not very reasonable. This was the first piece of feedback we heard from the community after the relaunch, and it was really good feedback. As a result, beginning Monday, March 31st, the store updates will happen at 1 PM PST to accommodate more of our users who are interested in limited inventory items globally. This was also announced on Friday the 28th, so that people were able to have more time to prepare and know when the new store change was coming. Yeah, we've seen this throughout the announcement. I think it was an absolutely great move, and is one that, as you guys kind of said, it was the first piece of feedback you guys got, and it was on the videos and other things I put out on Redemption that OCE were just like, we never got a chance to do it, and it's great to see that community first decision coming in from the company. Speaking of the timing of the Redemption Store, we get articles that explain what is available in the Redemption Store for that week. However, they can often come out and the product be sold out, as we saw with Cowboy Bebop. The article came out, and then if you went to the Redemption Store, the boxes were gone. Is there any plans to have the article come out at the exact time the store changes over, or even say 10 minutes beforehand, so that people can kind of get ready for that change and be ready to grab boxes and not miss out? Our intention is for the article to go live at or before the updates to the store go live. Though we've had some technical difficulties the first week out, you can always check the reward store directly to see what things are updated when they go live around 1 PM PST moving forward. And I imagine a lot of people will be there at 1 PM PST, just waiting and refreshing every couple of seconds to try and get in there first, especially if we're going to see more retro product on there. A box kind of equates to a new promo, so a case accounts to a place and a half of promos, and a box will get you 120 points, which equates to one promo. Should a box give you the same amount of points as you get for going to a local star scramble or even a local championship? Our calculations were based on modeling different economies, as well as taking feedback from our local game store owners and players themselves about what they wanted from the program. Some of the feedback we received pointed out that organized play programs already had promo cards associated with them, reducing the utility of points that award additional promos. Meanwhile, booster boxes gave away a pretty small amount of promo points. When fans at stores were expecting a box topper type of incentive for buying boxes, the adjustment allows us to better match those expectations, then evaluate based on play and purchase behavior as a result, making adjustments as and when needed. The inclusion of box toppers is something I think most card games have, and having it be points that they can redeem towards promos does make a lot of sense. I'm just kind of worried that we're going to end up in a shark whale situation where people are going to be able to buy out the promos. People are going to be able to buy it. It becomes more of a, the more points you have, the more product you can purchase will always outweigh a person doing the grind for the game. And as you said, this Redemption Store should be a reward for playing the game, not purchasing the game. Although collectors are just as valid as players, don't get me wrong. I think the reward store should reward local play and encourage local play, and offering the same amount of points for a local championship as you would for getting a box is kind of counterintuitive to that point. Why were points put in boxes rather than packs? Were there ever any pack redemption cards, or were there any points for pack redemption considered? Initially, our plan was to provide points based on a booster pack purchase, but the technology available to us didn't work at the product level. We had to decide between giving points out at our box level or not at all. Ultimately, we settled for the box level. Given the amount of product that stores and single vendors are able to open, they will acquire a lot of points through these box toppers. Are there any countermeasures in place to stop stores and single vendors purchasing all the redemption items to then sell on for a profit? Yes, account limits were designed to express this purpose. However, power users existed in the prior system, and we did not see a huge amount of inventory bought out on the regular basis. Further mitigating concerns in this space, it's also why points trading and exchanging isn't facilitated in the system to help prevent bad actors. Well, that answers one of the questions I've got a little bit further down, but I'm sure they'll reiterate that point when we get to that question. Although power users did exist in the old system, when you make the system more desirable, when you put items on there that are limited or hard to get hold of, such as retro products, it would encourage more nefarious behavior, more bad actors and more power users to utilize that system. And the store limits are great, the purchase limits are great, that's a great counterbalance and it makes a lot of sense. It's just something I'm kind of very aware of, that if a store has multiple employees and they can distribute the points out in a very point boosting nefarious system, they can kind of create a monopoly over the redemption store. But it does seem like it's something that's on UVS's mind with the account limits and other things like that, but it's not something they can outright just stop. Maybe it's something they can monitor to see if a particular address is ordering an excessive amount. It's something they can keep an eye on to see if anyone is power using and abusing the system. So with packs no longer containing points and with the point cards only being in boosters, players are incentivized to kind of not pick up loose packs anymore, not pick up a one-off pack or not pick up these stuff, and kind of save their money and buy a box because they're going to be able to get these additional points through there. How does the company feel about the impact this will have on stores? Because online retailers are able to sell boxes a lot cheaper and are able to kind of utilize this new system that may impact the local game store, who will see a decline in single pack sales because players are able to get points and promos through boxes. Our commitment is to support local game stores by making sure the reward store is exciting for players, rewarding play and purchasing behavior. It's a powerful touch point to get players to sign up for UGN, which allows us to connect them to play at their local store and build a relationship with those game store owners. Raising local store engagement and organized play numbers is specifically one of the program's measurable goals. So if we don't see improvement for local game stores, we will adjust until we do. That makes a lot of sense in terms of getting people to play in stores, but that social aspect, that aspect of picking up loose boosters, there's a lot of people that will have that logic rationale of, I shouldn't buy a single booster, I should buy a box. And although it's always great to support the local game store first, some people will have that money kind of savvy idea of, well, I can get a box cheaper online and get the points. So it is great to see that local stores are in UVS's mind and getting that engagement for UGN and getting people more playing in local stores. I'm just worried that it will see a decline in sales of packs in the stores, and that's something that stores kind of want to have. Hopefully it will see an increase in boxes purchased at stores, but again, they can't always compete with online pricing, and it is a shame. So I touched on it a little bit. You've touched on this a little bit further before. Might as well ask the question anyway. Are there any plans to implement a point share economy within UGN allowing players to share points to essentially help new players acquire the cards, or as you quite rightly put, allow bad actors with nefarious means to spread points around accounts to pick up multiple items. There is not at this time, due to the aforementioned impacts on fraud and ability for players to skirt the system's fail-safes put in place to ensure an equitable system for players. No, that makes a lot of sense, and it's something I should have really picked up on. That would have been answered in one of my earlier questions, but I wanted to touch anyway, since you were kind of to answer this question for me. The initial redemption system was a green plan that used recycling of packs to reward players, and I know personally that Patriot Games did go and recycle products. I didn't quite know how hard it was for them to recycle these products until recently. And how does it feel about just scrapping a green initiative into this new points kind of system? Part of our investigation into the redemption program revealed its green effects were not meeting the goals we had set for the program, and played a role into why we transitioned into how that program works. We are always looking for new ways to produce products in an environmentally friendly fashion that ensures there's a world for future generations to play Universus too. I would have loved to have got some examples as to the ways that UVS were looking into becoming more green, more environmentally friendly, and looking for the world's future so generations get to play Universus down the line. But unfortunately, no one was giving in the answer. But it is kind of weird to see that the green effects the green plan wasn't meeting its goal, whether that's people just weren't recycling or how hard it was to recycle the packaging. I always just immediately saw it as a green initiative because it was always said that the packs got recycled, and if it isn't having the impact, it isn't meeting the goals that the system was designed for, it makes a sense for the change. It's just a real shame. If you are a player watching this and you do have access to means to recycle your packs, please go and recycle your packs. Don't just throw them away. Although the redemption system is gone, we can still do our part as players to recycle packs and help the earth be around a lot longer for more people to get to play this card game in the future. Going into a bit more cheeky, can we get some kind of insights or hints as to the kind of items we will see on the Redemption Store? We want to keep some things as a surprise, but in general you will see promo cards, some types of products and game supplies like sleeves. We'll also be seeking to add experimental rewards and potential free play opportunities for side events at our regional tournaments later this year. Interesting that we can go see some experimental rewards, free play opportunities. I'm very excited to see what the kind of aspects you're going to be able to bring into this. When I saw experiences on there, it was one of the things that kind of went to me, what could they possibly do? Free to play side events, exclusive events like the Wish tournament and things like that could be a great use of reward points. I just kind of feel bad for more casual and new players who are going to struggle to get access to these kind of events, because events and experiences that on the Redemption Store are not going to be cheap because of the amount of effort that will go into them by the company. That's in my opinion. It's not actual fact. I'm on this side for saying it for this. What kind of experiences can we expect to see on the Redemption Store? Oh, for that you're gonna have to check back. It was worth asking. It was worth asking just to see if I could get a little bit of them. But UVS not giving anything away, keeping their cards close to their chest. Given that the Cowboy Bebop booster box is sold out, and you said items could rotate back in the year, how likely is it we'll see those booster boxes return? Items returning will depend on the quantities on hand, as well as our licensing obligations with the partners we work with. to ensure that we're aligned with our contracts regarding when we can offer products to fans. So not a definite yes, but that was also not they're gone, they're not coming back kind of aspect. Hopefully still got some more coming. I would really love to see that, because it was, as we said, it led to the record engagement for the Redemption Store, because people love Bebop. We briefly mentioned box toppers before and how stores expect box toppers, and we recently removed the quirk packs that were mechanically unique promos that came in packs as box toppers, because they weren't on Redemption. You could only get them through buying boxes or through single vendors, and making mechanically unique promos that were hard to come by, that had meta relevance especially, was very unfair on new and casual players. How do you feel about bringing back mechanically unique promos that are again behind a more restrictive paywall aspect? We have reduced significantly the amount of mechanically unique promos we now offer within a year compared to the era of quirk packs. The plan is to keep that number low. However, World Champion cards are mechanically unique, and the design is the coolest prize in gaming and holds a storied history of universes, so we plan to continue that. Our analysis for points economy showed that access to these types of promos on such a limited basis wouldn't be very burdensome given player actions historically, and we've taken additional actions to ensure that supplies remain available, like extending the time people will have to redeem them, rotating them back into circulation, and allowing people to redeem extra copies of them to trade and give to friends or people who may not have access to them. I understand that the World Champions are mechanically unique. It would have just been good to know if they were the only ones that were going to be mechanically unique promos on the Redemption Store, or if there's going to be other promos coming up that are mechanically unique. And I get that the point totals aren't too taxing, because you only need one of the champ cards to essentially have your playset, because we're not doing character stackers anymore. But that's still 120 points. That's still 2 local events you need to go to, even including the 20 points you can get for casual play. So that does detract, especially as a new or casual player, a large amount of your points that you're able to gain away from the cosmetic promos, because you kind of need to get a hold of these mechanically unique cards. It may be something you have no interest in if the character doesn't do it, but there's a lot of people who need to have all the mechanically unique cards in case they want them for a competitive deck. That kind of takes away from the casual side of players, but new players definitely will want that, especially with how powerful Nick Reagan and Mitchell Semino have been. It's great to see that we've got an abundance of stock for them, and they're going to be in the stores a bit longer. So given the current international store infrastructure and how little it's being played locally in some parts of the EU, Oceania, Canada, Brazil, Puerto Rico, and how hard it is for those players to also travel, how does the company feel that the new system doesn't support those players being able to acquire points as regularly as other areas? We are working to ensure all our fans can receive points on a consistent basis. With the return of the Redemption Inside products beginning in August, with the release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we are confident we'll actually see far more players from communities around the world be able to take part in this program for the first time. In only the first month without the new product Redemption turned on, we have already seen highest engagement levels in the reward store's history. As well, we also increased points available from our quick play events, which has helped us identify regions that may be good fits for our retail support program team to eke out support for those players. I understand the points increase for quick play, but if a person like myself doesn't have a reasonable local store, 20 points a week is not a lot, and with the decline of webcam it's kind of hard, but I'm sure that's something we'll address a bit further down the line. Relying on booster boxes to fill the gap where stars should be, to me, is not a significant answer. It's an answer that I'm disheartened to see, because just basically saying buy more boxes, you'll get your points, you're fine, doesn't really address the issue of the store infrastructure. What changes and incentives and drive does UVS have going to bringing more stars at the moment, to bringing more stars to the game? At the moment, the number of stars on the UGN store locator outnumbers the amount of stars running events. Our retail support team spends every day each week helping to grow stars and build communities that can support in-store play. We are also launching new demo programs later this year and have a pre-release strike force that meets every week to focus on ensuring our pre-releases are the most successful they can be, as they are major activation points for both new stars and players. I'm very excited to see the new demo program. I imagine that's probably going to be an AOT. I imagine that's going to be a TMNT round system as well. And the pre-release strike force is a very intimidating name. I know the local game store team, I know the retail support team are doing everything they can. I've heard stories of them being up at 5 o'clock in the morning to address issues and get in contact with stores. It's just hard as a player in a rural area that when I see the UGN store locator and I see more and more stores disappearing from there than there were before, and then there's even less events going on, it's just hard for me to visualize that more stores are joining the game when in my immediate area it seems to be the opposite effect. And maybe that's just a subjective thing, and I would love to see actual statistics or like actual graphs of the star increase since AOT, since Critical Role, and hopefully if I get to go, that'll be something that we get shown at the summit. So this is what I briefly touched on a moment ago. Webcam events have been mentioned by the community as a great way for under-supported areas to get access to points, but not all stores have the resources or availability to run webcam events. Are there any plans for UVS to host webcam events to help players? We have discussed webcam opportunities and may support these in the future. The focus for any webcam event will be casual, community-centered play, not competitive events with high reward payouts. Honestly, that's fine. I was never that bothered about having competitive pricing or having high reward payout for webcam events. My biggest issue was the fact that the webcam events started at like 1 AM for EU players, so we never really got access to them. If we can get more casual UVS created webcam events that are just show up, play, get your 60 points, I think that's fine. I think that's a perfectly legitimate system. We do not need to have a competitive aspect to it. There will be players, of course, that will take it competitively, because there always are, but no, I don't think we need to have a competitive aspect to webcam. With Cowboy Bebop being in the Redemption Store, a lot of players said this was a great way to make retro a lot more accessible and access the history of the game. Can we expect to see more retro product on the Redemption Store? We love retro, and you can expect to see exciting rewards and support for all of our formats throughout the year, including retro. Are there any other plans or initiatives in place to make retro more accessible to newer players? While our focus for new players is to start their Universus experience with sealed, spotlight and standard formats, we recognise that players love expanding their horizons into more complex formats. We'll continue to offer retro support, including in the reward store, for the benefit of anyone who loves the formats, regardless of how long they have been playing Universus. Will items in the Redemption Store be exclusively retro or retro related? No, we'll be offering prizes for all formats to ensure as many players feel rewarded as possible. Interesting. Will there be any on-site redemption in-store similar to the old events, or would that clash with the prize wall events? Mail-in redemption ends at March 31st, 2025. Our on-site redemption will continue into 2026 for any eligible product prior to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. For full details, check out the article about the redemption changes. I think they got a little bit confused with this aspect of the question. I wasn't asking if you could hand in packs during the events. I was more looking at the old system where you could spend your points to acquire promos and stuff without having to pay the postage. Very similar to the prize wall kind of aspect where you get your tickets and you go and redeem. We used to have it in place where you could go up to Guile or other people during the events and go, I've done an order on the Redemption Store, can I collect it, and things like that. When it was only just promos, I know it'd be a lot harder with product, which is why I wanted to ask the question if we were going to see in-event on-site redemption. I think something got lost in translation here, but there is a full article for you to go check out what's going on with handing in packs at redemption. But UVS, if you are watching this, please do reach out to me and let me know. I can add on or do a little bit of a part 2 if we're going to see essentially an on-site redemption store, is probably how I should have worded it. That's probably on me for wording it poorly. But that is the end of my questions. A big thank you to UVS for taking the time to answer these questions. There is some more I would have loved to go in a bit more detail with over the questions, or some more that I probably could have clarified a little bit better and would be able to clarify it with an in-person interview. But I know UVS are very busy a lot of the time. Very busy. Has it satisfied my issues with the Redemption Store? A little bit. I'm still not its biggest fan. I think it's not the best change for new or casual players. But let me know, is this something that you guys liked? Did this answer any questions you have about the Redemption Store? Has it opened up any new questions about the Redemption Store? Let me know in the comments below what questions you would have liked answered. I did reach out to some people and get some questions from those guys. If I can get more questions, if I can get some more follow-up to this, I'm happy to go to UVS and send them another list of questions and see if I can get even more answers from them, because in the end this is a huge change and it's a living system, as was said by their answers. So I would love to get hold of more thoughts, more questions, more ponderings by the community about the Redemption Store, and send them off to UVS and get you the answers you deserve. Thank you to myself for joining. I will catch you all in the next one, and go check out today's Redemption Store once it goes live, because I think this one, being the first one that OCE has reasonable access to, might be a bit of a banger. Oh, definitely. Catch you all in the next one, and it's bye from me, and bye from me.